Good morning, guys. I'm sitting here in my PJs. In case you were wondering whether I am always in control of myself and my emotions, no, I am not. I woke myself up with a nightmare and I was screaming at myself to wake myself up. So I dreamed that there was a big fat what they call a stag beetle, like that, after me. And I was so scared. I was freaking out. This type of dream, to me, that happens maybe once a year or so, less. And years pass by without any of it. So once I was kind of awake and slightly less stressed out, I thought I have to look up what this means or whatever. I went to a website, I think it's called dreambible.com. I will look it up and put it in the description because they have actually rather extensive descriptions of symbols in dreams and what they mean and all that. So that's pretty cool. And I found that the beetle represents a tendency or a piece of the past where somebody or something didn't take your feelings into account, ignored you and stuff like that. So that kind of makes sense with everything that's been happening that's reminded me of the past, of my parents, of my mother, the way things were, etc. And but why am I telling you about this? I want to share this because I was still very frightened, okay? I mean, even say half an hour after I'd woken up, I was still very shaky and jittery, and I could almost still feel that creature very close by. So at first, I tried to also understand why it scared me so much, and it felt like, I can speak in the past tense now, that it wanted to take possession of me and cut me up into little pieces again, which is what fragmentation is, right? Fragmentation, dissociation, that type of thing. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And so what I tried to do was, after a while, I just imagined, really visualized that I was holding the beetle like this. And just trying to sort of create a field of love and affection for it. Just using my vital, strength, I suppose, in that way, to also control it or restrain it, to keep it from getting at me or attacking me. But more than that, I was projecting into it a positive vibration, a vibration of love, really. Whether it could work with that or not, I just did that. And that worked wonders. So immediately or very shortly after that, as I was doing this, I could feel the fear subsiding, and I could see again that how much of our tendencies to anxiety and fear are really all about just surrendering control to whatever it is that's bothering us, bugging us, right? And just, you don't even realize that you have a choice, that there is another option. Only after this has bugged you for an X number of years, after you have just completely had it with the whole of the pressure and the inadequacy and the feelings of misery, being miserable. and afraid and angry and, you know, upset and all that, and feeling very small and inadequate, like I said, incapable, incapacitated, all those words. I'm trying to dig up as many words as I can with my still not very awake brain. We don't realize within those emotions, when we are sort of caught within those emotions, we don't have a choice. We have surrendered every possibility of agency, of being a sovereign person, of deciding our own fates. We have surrendered to that. And so if I manage to make a field, a healing field, create a sense of, I am also capable of this, right? I'm not just, because I'm not the slave anymore. I used to be a victim 100% of the time, and I was just coping. But after my soul retrieval experiences, like I've described them earlier, I have recovered a very much greater sense of agency, of being capable of making my own decisions and putting a different field in place. And even as I sit here, I marvel at the strength of that field and how easily and quickly I just move over to that side. And the bug, who was still there, who's still here in a way, calms down and sort of sits there and, chills. And he doesn't need to attack me anymore. It is my resistance that keeps the infernal machine running. In this particular instance, it's my bug. He's part of me, okay? That's why I have the dream. In this particular, most times when I have, intense dreams, I have intense dreams and interesting dreams all the time, but not necessarily very scary ones. But always, whenever there's something really weird going on, it tends to be that the part or the image or the animal or the situation or the location that I'm dreaming of is actually a part of me. It's always, I am looking in the dream. It's like my consciousness has moved to and condensed into a place where it can only do the looking, and it is looking at something else, right? So you get it's like a fragmentation again, like it's splitting into two parts, and one part is looking at the other part or interacting with it or some such thing, because there's always, like here, there was also a big interaction because I was scared as hell. I was very motivated to change this and to have something, make something different out of this, because it was very nasty. But now we're all cool again, because I had a choice, because over the past 5 and 6 years, I have been moving all my assets and all my intention and all my towards the side of me that wasn't strong enough. And I think that's how it works. I think this is really quite an essential topic, because we're all very worried, aren't we, about how afraid we are, or how miserable we can feel, and how people make us feel, and how alone and how isolated we can feel, and how that makes us feel angry and all that. And it's all completely legitimate, and I think very many more people suffer from this. And I don't call this mental health, because that's a definition that somebody thought up, over there. There's nothing wrong with you. There's an imbalance. And one thing about the imbalance is that there is not enough strength for you to use. And I have been working on that. I have been working on gaining strength, gaining completeness, cohesiveness, getting all my little train compartments linked up. What do you call a train compartment? Not a compartment. The you know what I mean. The parts of the train. I can't think of the word. It's gone. It's not important enough. All the parts that need to be linked, if they're not linked, you fall apart. Like a puzzle in 1,000 pieces, in a jumble, right? How do you expect any clarity to come from that? You have to put your pieces together. And once some of them start to sort of link up, ever so slightly, you can tell the difference. But they're your parts. Only you can do this for yourself, right? Nobody can help you. No pills, no crystals, none of all of it. You can only make choices again and again, 100 times, 700 times. A choice for wholeness within yourself, to sort of grab hold and take up within yourself. And the more there is of you, the stronger you become, the easier it gets also. You get the idea. That's the way I think about this. I was watching people talking about anxiety and depression, and I was that person. I was so helpless. I know how it feels. But there aren't very many people talking about what you can do, and that can upset me greatly. That is one thing that really builds me a head of steam right there. Because why we have solutions. Each and every one of us has, bits and pieces of solutions. But to work for your own wholeness, that you maybe just are missing, there's an emotional connection missing that you cannot live without. Maybe you loved your mother very much and she was a horrible person. My channel will always be about these type of things, because I can't do anything else. It's the truth. My mother was a very scary person. And I thought for very many long years that I did not love her. I could not feel love for her. But it turns out that if I love her, I also have to love my dad. And those two were at war with each other. It's a very, very common situation. People, kids of divorced families, divorced couples. So you have to reconstruct yourself, right? You have to feel your way forward and make the connections one by one, and, cry, be desperate, whatever it takes, but always move forward and always have this sense of, is this working towards wholeness? Am I reintegrating myself? I don't care about what people think, people say. Not that much. If they care about me, yes, then I will care. I'll care 100%. And I will talk until I'm blue in the face to explain whatever it is that I want them to know, or to stop worrying about me, or to stop worrying about us, and all that. That's fine. When somebody cares, but when it's just opinions, and what I always see also is people who are loyal to somebody who's no longer in the picture. And that has programmed them in the earlier 20, 30 years of their lives when you weren't around to behave and think in a certain way. And you're stuck with the end result of that. Not of one person, but of a dozen persons. Who each and every one, they're loyal to this, that and the other. It's one way where astrology can be very helpful to map the loyalties and the ways people are stuck to each other, the influences and the way they've been influenced. I figured out earlier this night, when everything was sort of in control before the nightmare, that we're stuck with the end result of their process, just like they were stuck with the end result of the processes of their parents, who were stuck with the end result, blah, 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 blah. You can predict the rest. Like, it's like fractals where the patterns are repeating themselves, only it's more complicated even than that, because the patterns differ slightly all the time, and they hide, and they're encrypted within their lives all the time. Which I think it's, again, kind of funny. In a weird way. I inherited a weird sense of humor as well, because sometimes you need it, right? You need to make it funny, because otherwise, Thank you very much once again for being here and listening to me ramble on about this stuff. And I will have my tea, and then I will have a nice shower, and everything will be fine and dandy again. See you next time, guys. Bye bye.